Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at 0xGasless. By using this SDK, we'll try to create a gasless swap. Let's get started. We'll start by going to the dashboard and creating a free account. Now we're in the dashboard. Let's try creating an account. We will call it a demo user. Try to give it a secure password. Now we can use the same credentials to log into our dashboard. Let's quickly create our paymaster. Now click on Create, name it, select Fantom Opera, which is the main net. We can also create one on the test net. Name it. Click on Test Net. Create. Okay, so we have logged in and created our paymaster. Now let's try funding it with some Fantom. You can see that as soon as you create a paymaster, an API key is created and assigned to you. This API key is used to verify your paymaster details. So if you fund it with some Fantom, this API key tells us that this is your paymaster. And this is your paymaster ID. So let's try funding it with some Fantom. We can add 0.1 Fantom and click on Deposit. MetaMask will open. Confirm. We wait for it to mine. Yes. Now we can go to transactions and see after refreshing the page that we have made a deposit. So now that we have funded our paymaster, let's try using it. So for the purpose of this demo, we will use a sample swap interface and we will replace regular transaction with a gasless transaction implementing our 0xGas SDK. Let's get started. So this is the code. I will give you a very brief insight into how the code works and what sort of changes to make any dApp gasless. So we have some few important imports. But you can just get importing just one thing. These are additional things imported for the purpose of this demo for better clarity. The changes that needs to be made are in just two functions. One is the create smart account. So what we do here is we use a very simple Web3 account, and we convert it to a smart account. Alright, and this is how we do it. This is the function that we imported from our SDK. And for the purpose of this demo, I have kept the addresses explicit so as to know that what exactly are we doing it. You don't have to do it. These things are automatically handled for you by the SDK, but for the sake of clarity I have added them here. And basically you just, add in the signer, which is the Web3 client, bundler URL, AP master URL, chain ID, which is often determined from the bundler URL. But as mentioned earlier, for the sake of clarity, it's added here. And these are the addresses, the contract addresses that are deployed on Fantom. You can find these in our documentation. Now as for the bundler URL and the paymaster, you can get them on the dashboard itself shown in the previous step. So we saw how we can create a smart account client with that SDK. Now the other function that we're gonna talk about is the send gasless function. We will use the smart account that we created earlier and we will call the send transaction function on it. What the send transaction function does is just, as it sounds, it just sends a transaction to the bundler for it to be verified on the blockchain. Now for it to be a sponsored transaction, we just need to add one more thing, which is this part. As soon as you add the paymaster mode as sponsored, the transaction will now be gasless and it will use the paymaster that we created earlier to fund that transaction. Okay. Now let's actually see how we can use it to send transactions. We created the send gasless function. Let's try actually using it with the swap. Data function is one of the function that uses the send gasless function. What it does is it uses this following parameters to generate a transaction from 1inch API. 1inch API responses us with a transaction. Now we build this transaction here and send it to the send gasless function. Now as soon as the transaction is built sent to the bundler, it starts validating on the blockchain. As soon as it's validated, we have performed a natural gasless transaction. Let's try seeing it in action. Now we are on our UI. What this UI does is it swaps USDC to USDT. We have some USDC in our smart account. Let's try swapping it. We click on Review Trade. it does its thing. It starts processing. See, if you notice here, instead of performing a transaction, it just asks us to perform a signature, right? And signatures are free. If you have noticed, right, we are on our Fantom blockchain. We do sign. As soon as we do the signature, we wait for it on the blockchain and that's it. We have performed a gasless transaction. As you can see that we swapped this many USDC to USDT, and this is our smart account. If we go here and see there is no ETH or FTM rather into the account and we were still able to perform a swap.